You ever have that moment, you're trying to show a friend something you see so clearly, but they just don't get it? It's right there, but it's like it's invisible to them. Well, today we're diving into a story that suggests, hey, maybe the most important things in life are exactly like that. They're happening right in front of us if we just knew how to look. So I gotta ask you, are you really seeing the whole picture? Because the text we're looking at today suggests that a lot of the time we're so zoomed in on what's right in front of our faces that we completely miss this bigger, incredible reality playing out all around us. All right, check this out. It's a classic, but it's perfect for what we're talking about. Look at this illusion. What do you see? Some of you, right away, you see a young woman, kind of looking over her shoulder. But for others, you see an old woman, right? Her chin tucked into her coat. Now here's the kicker. Both are there. Both are correct. It's two totally different realities living in the exact same image. And that idea, that's what sets the stage for the ancient story we're getting into. So we're going to jump into a story from the Gospel of John that unpacks this exact idea. It's all about that tension, the one between what we think we see and the deeper truth that's actually there. It's a story all about perception, about purpose, and yeah, a harvest that absolutely no one saw coming. So our story kicks off in a place that, honestly, most people back then would have gone miles out of their way to avoid, the ancient region of Samaria. And it's right here that Jesus, a Jewish man, just shatters all the social rules and starts a conversation with someone who is, let's just say, the last person anyone would expect to be a main character. And to really get how big of a deal this is, you gotta understand the backstory. We're talking about a deep, bitter rivalry between Jews and Samaritans that had been going on for over 700 years. Samaritans were seen as, well, as impure, like they'd betrayed their heritage. So for Jesus to just walk into their territory and start talking to someone, that was a massive, radical statement. And the woman he talks to? Wow. I mean, she is the very definition of an outsider. Not only is she a Samaritan, but she has this complicated past that's made her an outcast even in her own town. Think about it. She's coming to get water in the middle of the day, in the blazing heat, just so she doesn't have to run into anyone else. This is the absolute last person you'd pick to be a credible witness for, well, anything. But then something happens. After she talks with Jesus, she runs right back to the very people who pushed her away. And she doesn't give some big, fancy speech. Her message is simple, it's honest, and it's so compelling. She just says, "Come see a man who told me everything I've ever done." Just that. That raw, vulnerable honesty was enough to get her entire town buzzing with curiosity. And right there, her story shows us something so powerful, right? It's that you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect presentation. Sometimes just sharing your real, authentic story is the most powerful thing you can do. It's what gets other people interested enough to come and see for themselves. Okay, so picture this scene. You have all these townspeople heading out to the well, curious and excited, and at the same time, Jesus' disciples are walking back in. But they are on a completely different planet mentally. They'd been on a mission too, but it's a very, very different kind of mission. And this is where those two different realities we talked about just crash into each other. You've got the disciples, totally focused on the natural world. Their stomachs are rumbling, their concern is hunger, their mission was simple: get lunch. Totally tangible stuff. But Jesus, he's seeing a whole other reality, a spiritual one. He sees a town full of people whose hearts are open and ready. He sees a spiritual harvest that's about to happen. So when his disciples are like, "Hey, eat something," Jesus comes back with this kind of mysterious answer. He's basically telling them that what really fuels him, what actually keeps him going, isn't bread. It's doing what he came here to do. He's trying to get them to lift their eyes up, to shift their focus from the here and now to the bigger picture. And that's really an invitation for us too, isn't it? It's a call to start seeing with spiritual eyes. It's about looking beyond our to-do lists, beyond our immediate needs, and starting to notice those deeper opportunities, the real human connections that are right there in front of us the whole time. All right, but the story doesn't stop there. Let's shift our focus back to those Samaritan townspeople, because their journey is fascinating. It didn't end with just hearing the woman's story. Nope, that was just the spark. They went from hearing about something to knowing it for themselves. You can really see their journey happen in steps. First, they hear the woman's story. and it grabs their attention. Then they do something pretty bold. They invite Jesus, a Jew, to actually stay with them. And by experiencing him for themselves over 2 days, listening to him directly, their faith becomes their own. It's not someone else's story anymore. It's personal. And I love this part. It shows the change so clearly. They go back to the woman and basically say, "Look, thank you so much for telling us. But it's not just because of what you said that we believe now. We've heard him for ourselves." Her story was the key that opened the door, but they had to walk through it. And that just reveals a huge takeaway here, right? The goal isn't just to get people to believe your story. The real goal is to help them have their own experience, their own encounter. Your story is the invitation, not the final destination. So all of this comes to a head with the main metaphor Jesus uses to try and get through to his disciples who were just not getting it. And that's the metaphor of a harvest. Now think like a farmer for a second. A harvest is something that happens on a schedule, right? You plant, you wait, and they would have said, yeah, the harvest is still 4 months away. It's predictable, it's in the future. But Jesus just flips that whole idea on its head. He says the spiritual harvest, that's not 4 months from now. It's happening this very second with all these people walking toward you. And this is really the punchline of the whole lesson. It's a command, simple and direct. Look, lift up your eyes. He's telling them to stop staring at the ground, stop thinking about lunch and your plans. Look up, see the people, see what's actually happening. The fields are ready for harvest right now. And so this story leaves us with a pretty big question when we have to ask ourselves, what harvest is ready and waiting right in front of you? What opportunities, what connections, what really important moments are happening right now, just waiting for you to lift up your eyes and actually see them?